And we're just going to do something fun today. We're going to experiment with lines and all the different things you can do with lines. There's continuous lines, and there's wavy lines and dashed lines, and you're going to end up filling that entire space with lines. So you can start wherever you want to start. I'm starting in the lower left-hand corner, and I'm going to start with a continuous line. And I'm just going to start by making some wavy lines that are kind of close together. I'm going to try to not lift my pen up off the paper, and I'm trying to make them kind of close together here. These are really kind of organic lines because I'm just free-forming them organically, like nature. And so I'm just trying to not lift my pen off the paper, and at first I'm making them really close together. And I'm not even really thinking too much about what I'm going to do next. And then I'm going to mix things up and create some variety by making some wavy lines and then making some more geometric lines that have some sharp angles. Again, I'm just kind of trying to make some variety and also to fill the space. I'm not really thinking too much about what I'm doing, and you shouldn't be either. You're just kind of trying to make some different types of lines with a continuous line. And here I'm switching back to some organic lines, not thinking about it too much, just getting started on filling the space with some different types of lines. And these lines are all the same thickness. They're all really thin, which is okay. That kind of unifies the design a little bit because all the lines are the same thickness. But I'm also creating some variety through my geometric, my organic, my wavy. And see, I just made one continuous line. And now I'm going to come up here to the corner, and I'm going to try a different type of line, a dashed line. Some of my dashes are long. Some of the dashes are short. So again, I'm just trying to make a variety and really just experiment with line. You're not trying to copy what I'm doing. I'm just showing you some different ways that you can use lines. And now I'm going to make some vertical lines. It's another type of line, vertical lines. And some of them I'm putting really close together, and some I'm putting farther apart. Now I'm going to make some horizontal lines. It doesn't matter where you put these. You just want to experiment with a bunch of different lines. I'm making some diagonal lines now. Already I've created so many different types: continuous, organic, dashed, vertical, horizontal, diagonal. Some of them close together, some are far apart. And now I'm going to make some spiral lines. I'm going to make some spiral lines. I just picked a random spot where I'm going to add in some spiral lines. You can put your spiral lines wherever you want to because yours is going to come out totally different. This is just a fun exercise to experiment with different types of lines. Now I'm making some curved lines. Kind of look like little rainbows, but not really. We're not trying to make this look like anything. We're just experimenting with different types of lines and all the different things you can do. So curved lines, just to try and help fill up this space. I'm going to make some more wavy lines. I'm not giving any of this too much thought. I'm just looking for the places where there's negative space or empty space, and I'm trying to fill them in with different lines. I'm not trying to make any design or any letters or any objects. I'm just experimenting with all these different types of lines. Now I'm going to start creating some contrast here and some more variety by making some of my lines thicker. And I'm doing all of this with just a plain ballpoint pen, the kind that came in your art kit. It doesn't really matter which one you use, but I don't want you to use a marker. I just want you to use a ballpoint pen. So see how I'm just randomly selecting areas, and look how much those dark, thick lines stand out from all of the thin lines. It creates some areas of interest. So I'm just going around in places where I already drew something, and now I'm adding in some dark lines. And look how much my drawing is starting to pop now. This doesn't require any drawing skills. You don't have to worry about if you think you're a good artist or not. This is just about being creative and experimenting. So I'm just going around randomly and choosing some places where I want to make lines thicker. I just created some more diagonal lines. And I'm kind of alternating where I place these diagonal lines. So much variety with these lines. And now I'm putting in some horizontal lines that are really close together. And notice the places where it's really close together, how it almost looks darker, and then where the lines get farther apart, it's like a lighter value. It's like I've created darks and lights. I'm not doing any shading. I'm just putting the lines closer together, and that helps create a darker value. And just to create some more interest, I'm alternating with some more diagonal lines to fill these in. Going back to some horizontal lines, some more diagonal lines. And now I'm going to make some more thick lines in here because I like the way those thick, dark lines stand out more than just the thin ones. It gives my whole composition some more variety. It gives some more contrast, but I'm also still unifying the whole design by only using lines. I'm not using any colors, I'm not using any shapes. I'm just creating variety with different types of lines, and I'm coloring in these shapes really well. Even though it looks like I'm just scribbling them, I go back over those scribbles to make sure that I filled in all the space. Adding some more short dashed lines. Some of them are a little bit shorter, some of them are a little bit longer. And now I'm going back in and I'm just making some of those dashed lines a little bit darker, creating more variety, more visual interest. Now I'm using some scribbly lines. It's another type of line. I don't know if scribbly is a technical term, but I'm just using some scribbly lines. And notice how the farther down I get with these scribbly lines, I start making them wider and farther apart. So it's almost like I'm adding darker values and lighter values, because the farther apart I put my scribbles, the lighter the values look. And even though I'm scribbling, I'm still being careful that I keep them right inside the edge of that other line. And now I'm just going to randomly thicken some lines, but I've got this squiggly line here, and I'm just going to make parts of it darker. It makes kind of unexpected line because it goes from thick to thin to from thick to thin. I switched pens, but I'm still using just a plain black ballpoint pen, not a marker, no cheating. We're going to do all this. And I just keep on going through. And now I'm adding some more wavy lines, and some of them I'm making thick, some of them I'm making thin. It's really kind of frees your mind to just doodle like this, kind of, because your mind can be wandering and thinking about other things. You can be listening to music. It gives you a chance to create something interesting, but freeing your mind to have some thoughts about other things. Now I'm making some really, really light lines. In fact, the light in this video, you can hardly even see them, but I'm just applying hardly any pressure with the pen, just enough so it's barely touching the surface of the paper. And look what fine, delicate lines I can make just with the ballpoint pen. I go back in here. I'm not really have a plan. I just kind of keep picking another section and thinking, what can I do to make this line different and more interesting? So if you look at all the places where I made the lines darker, you see how much more they pop? But it's good to leave some of them thin because that creates some variety. And now I'm just making some almost like a check mark. I push my pen to the paper and then I kind of let it fly out. Press and fly, press and fly, press and fly, press and fly. And that creates another kind of line. And then just to really create some contrast and even make some lines look like they're in the front, I decided to just get out my ruler and make some really, really straight geometric lines. And then I colored those in to create some visual interest. And you can see all the other different things I added in the background. Now, I need to take a picture of this. So it's kind of warped from all that scribbling with the pen. So I just put a little piece of tape in the corner to hold it down flat so I can get out my phone and I can hold my phone parallel with the image. I know you can't see all of it, but I'm trying to make it parallel and get in as close as I can. And then I take a photo And now I need to crop out the background. So if you use an iPhone, you'll do this the same way. I'm not sure how it works on an Android, but I'm going to edit the photo, and then I'm going to crop it very carefully so it comes right up to the edge, so I don't have any of my desk in the background. And I slide up the bottom and the top, so now I have a nice clear picture of my drawing, and that is what you're going to end up inserting into your Google slide later. So you can take a picture of this now, or you can take it later. And here is my finished design with all different types of lines.